What's up, brand builders? Stephen Hurahan here at brandmasteracademy.com, and in this video you're going to learn how to reposition a brand with this 6-step process so you can analyze the need to pivot the brand strategy and create a new position with refocused intent. Now, if you're new to the channel and you want to build brands that go beyond the visuals using strategy, psychology, and creative thinking, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. If you want to fast track your results, make sure you grab the Pro Brand Strategy Blueprint. It's a free download and the link is in the description. Now, I created a video recently called What is Repositioning with Top Strategy Examples. Now, if you haven't seen that yet, I'll leave a link in the description below. You can check that out. But to recap, repositioning in a nutshell is the process a brand goes through to adjust or overhaul its perception in the market to better appeal to its target audience so they see the brand as a more viable option. So why reposition a brand in the first place? Well, there are many different reasons that a brand's leadership team might decide to reposition the brand. Now, more often than not, this is reactionary and they happen as a result of lower than expected results, which could mean low brand awareness, low market share, low sales, or low revenue. But the decision to reposition a brand isn't always based on poor performance either. Quite often, repositioning happens as a result of great performance and subsequent opportunities to grow and expand into bigger markets. So let's take a look at some of the common reasons for repositioning. Number one, evolving markets. Now, markets aren't static. They're made up of people, so by nature, they're always changing. They're always evolving. What's important to consumers today may not be as important to them tomorrow, or it may be twice as important. So whether it's a change in demand, a change in knowledge, a change in society, or any of the other countless ways people change, markets aren't a place for static entities. Number two, a change in target audience. Now, as businesses grow, so do their capacity to help more of the same people or more people in general. What works at a brand level in appealing to one specific market segment might not work when it comes to appealing to a broader market made up of multiple market segments. Segments are simply groups of people, so a brand's plan to expand, if they have one, they need to consider the people who they want to expand into, the markets who they want to expand into, and how they're going to appeal to those broader markets. Brands that want to go after a broader or a completely different target audience may need to consider whether their existing position will cut the mustard. Number three, change or growth in product portfolio. Now, positioning happens at both a brand and a product level, but product repositioning happens less frequently than brand repositioning because products rarely change their intended purpose for their intended audience. Now, that said, as products are introduced and the portfolio of products grows, brand repositioning may be required if the portfolio expands outside alignment with the brand's original position. Number four, signal a new approach and era. Now, heritage brands with decades or even centuries of brand equity may need to refresh their position over time to adapt to changing landscapes, to adapt to changing market conditions. But like a crab shedding its shell, some brands will go through transformations to signal the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. And often with the adjustment of how that brand wants to be seen in the market and what perception it wants to put out there. So let's take a look at the 6 steps to the repositioning strategy process. Now, if you or your client's brand hasn't been performing or you want to take advantage of changing conditions, then you need processes for your repositioning strategy. So if you follow along with these simple steps, then you'll give your brand the best chance for a successful repositioning campaign. Now, it's important to note that steps 1 and 2 are preliminary and you should complete these before committing to repositioning your brand. Step number 1, audit the existing brand. Now, if the brand you're working on consists only of visuals or it lacks any strategy, then it's not a repositioning project, it's a positioning project. Repositioning can only occur when there has been decisive action taken to position the brand in the first place. So conduct an extensive audit to analyze the brand to uncover the following: the target audience segments, the differentiation strategy, the brand personality, the language and voice, the key messages and stories, the brand name and tagline, and the visual identity. Identify any misalignment and divergence throughout the brand, beginning with who the audience is and what they want. Step number 2, confirm assumptions. So you want to conduct market analysis to confirm the assumptions made and to better understand the original target audience. Now, although this target audience may or may not remain the same, it's important to understand the failings of the brand or to confirm any assumptions that are made about any potential failings of that brand to use going forward in the repositioning process. Now, focus groups can offer qualitative results and market surveys can offer quantitative results to achieve statistical significance. Step number 3, redefine the audience. Now, before defining a new position in the market, it's really important to redefine who the audience is. Now, although your new position might simply aim to change the perception of the same group of people, repositioning is an opportunity to discover new markets and new people that can potentially want or need that product or service. Only when you're crystal clear on exactly who your audience is, with all audience personas, buyer personas included, then you can determine a position that will really appeal to who they are. Step number 4, redefine the competition. Now, although redefining your target audience is top of the pile in terms of importance, redefining your competitors is not far behind. Now, as I mentioned earlier, markets aren't static. They're constantly evolving and new competitive players are evolving all the time and emerging all the time as well. And some of them in hope of disrupting the status quo or at a minimum, stealing your market share. So defining a new position needs to consider the options that are already in the market, those options that already exist through your competitors, and your new repositioning strategy needs to consider why your brand is going to be different when compared to those competitors. Step number 5, identify gaps and define your difference. Now, redefining your audience and your competitive landscape arms you with the tools that you need to identify what the market wants and what's already available. Now, what's already available is an indication of where not to play and where to avoid kind of contributing to that market noise. And it gives your brand some breathing space to be noticed as well if you're able to distance yourself from that pack. Gaps represent opportunities to attract your audience's attention with a unique perspective on value or experience. So think about what your competitors are not saying or what they're not doing throughout their offer or experience that your audience would place value on. Identify the most valuable opportunity and expand this into a unique difference that will appeal to your audience. And step number 6, write your positioning statement. Now, once you've carved out a unique point of difference that you can use to attract your audience, it's time to document that difference in a little more detail. Now, your brand positioning strategy or your repositioning strategy defines who you're for, why you're different, who and what you're different to, and the benefit of that difference. Now, I created an article and a video with a brand positioning template that you can use, and I'll leave a link in the description below. Now, repositioning is not an exercise to be taken lightly. There's significant investment, at least not of time, to reposition your brand and then to establish that new position in the market. But rest assured, the cost of not positioning your brand effectively in the first place or ignoring the need to reposition your brand will be significantly greater in the long run. So take stock of where the brand is at, realign with what your customers want or need, and explore whether or not there's a better way to communicate that you have what they want. And repositioning is no more complicated than that. Now, if you want to get to the foundation of the importance and the processes of the positioning strategy, then this video will help you out. Until next time, brand like a master, and I'll see you in the next video.